I mean, 5 assists. You got to feel like you're living in Groundhog Day at some point.
Yeah, you certainly feel that way. You are, well, at least I am in a stage in my career where I've obviously been around the league a bit, and I've experienced many different teams, many different players, and there's a really sense of appreciation. And that appreciation is, you almost have to blend it out when you play with him at times, because you don't want to get caught in that. I think halfway through, I think it was 3-1 maybe, I got subbed out, and then when you're on the bench and you kind of see it all happen, the connection with Suarez, the 1-2s, the give and goes, the little body feints. In those moments, you really become a spectator. Yeah, and you really become just a fan of the art, and that's really what it is. I think, an art form.
Welcome to the Player Manager Podcast. We are back for episode 9. I'm Zealand Shannon, the football manager extraordinaire, as I am described by multiple websites that try and come up with my Wikipedia and get it wrong. I'm working from my parents' setup today, if you're wondering why there are blinds and a statue from the Terracotta Warriors in the background. And I'm joined once again by my co-host, number 24 for Inter Miami, Julian Gressel.
You should be the stadium announcer for us, man. That was pretty good. But you gotta be Spanish and English. So yeah.
Vamos a la playa. I've got that in the bag. Totally. Oh, man. I feel like I could get the people going. I would love that job, personally. I'd be in there like Bruce Buffer from the UFC, like, it's time. Okay. Maybe not with the voice crack. I'll work on it. I'll come back.
Maybe we can get you an intern job there. You can try and do a second team or something like that to try it out.
I do look great in pink. Before we get into the show, thank you to everybody who has rated and reviewed this show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to the show. We appreciate your support. And we've got something special for you because we have Julian, who is going to now translate that kind message into German for our large German-speaking audience. Julian, whenever you're ready.
Ja, hallo an alle nach Deutschland und danke fürs Zuhören erstmal und danke, dass ihr den Podcast schön bewertet und uns Kommentare lasst. Wir sind sehr dankbar dafür und ja, viel Spaß weiterhin.
Sehr gut, Julian. Sehr gut.
Danke.
Finally able to use that 2 years of German I took in college. Coming up on the show today, Formula One and soccer collided in Miami with the Grand Prix in town. Of course, our Julian Gressel was on the ground reporting live from just having a good time watching the race, I'm assuming. There was also incredibly weird drama in Portugal, the Portuguese second division. Somebody actually paid to play in a legitimate professional match over there. We're going to talk about that later, and we're going to touch on Mental Health Awareness Month as well. But we have to start. We simply must start with Inter Miami's historic, explosive, come from behind, because of course it was, victory against the New Jersey Red Bulls. Julian, what in God's green earth happened in that 6-2 win? I got 4 different notifications from 4 different websites on my phone after you guys pulled that off.
Yeah, it was one for the record books, I would say. It was a special night. I'm guessing you can assume for who was the main protagonist, or the 2 main protagonists in that one. But yeah, special night, special revenge night, where obviously we got beat pretty bad in New York, or New Jersey, as you said. And now, we got the revenge on that. And but similar story. We go down 1-0 and we come back. But again, I think Leo has 5 assists and 1 goal, 6 goal contributions in one half. And Mr. Luis Suarez has a hat trick in a half as well. Just out of this world, man. It's just incredible to witness those kind of things every weekend. Yeah, it's nuts.
No, I mean, look, when I saw Leo Messi put up 5 assists, one, I believe that's the most assists anybody's ever put up in a match in MLS. He's still, including all of those assist goal contributions, he scored more than a goal a match as well. But to be able to do that in 45 minutes, I mean, you guys, I realize we're beating a dead horse here, but you guys went down 1-0 again. And it was actually 1-0 to halftime. So what kind of team talk or what kind of momentum comes out of a dressing room where you're losing at home to this team you got blown out by up in New Jersey, like you were saying? to produce a 6-goal half? Does Messi just walk into the locker room like, guys, I got this?
Well, no, he doesn't just quite do that, because I think he understands that there's more to it, obviously, and that New York made it difficult on us the first 30 minutes. And then we, they're a team that when you prepare them, it's really difficult to prepare for them, because they kind of create stuff out of nothing at times, and if it's they can create great goals where they can play well, and they can have great players in the team, and have really good quality, but then they can also create goals, or just make goals out of situations that are like long throw-ins, just like 50-50 balls, like just a bounce, and then all of a sudden they're right there. So you really got to be alert for basically the whole game, and even in the moments where nothing might come of it, they're there, so you got to be fully there. And I thought we were, to be honest with you, we were better in the first 5-10 minutes, didn't concede, at least in the first 5 minutes. When I looked at the clock, it was like 12 minutes in. I was like, okay, we've kind of made it this far, which is good. But then obviously we go down 1-0, I think, on a counter in the 30th minute, where we lose the ball a little bit cheaply, while we are in attack. And then it's kind of just a run towards goal, and a little bit of a lucky bounce for them off the post right back, into one of their strikers' feet.
Forsberg, beautiful move, plays this out wide, opportunity for Red Bull here, Wiki Carmona, off the post, follow-up try, go!
Again, it was something that at that point, I guess we were used to it, so we can kind of draw from that experience as well, and say, okay, this game isn't over. It's it's 1-0. We're 1-0 down. I thought we played well, and the halftime talk was really about details. It was about how we can find more space, how we can get the ball into our better or best players' feet in the more dangerous spots, and ultimately we know, or I kind of known from playing Rebels in years past, is that it's usually a tale of two halves, or that in the second half usually there's a little bit more space. And as you could see, if you watch the highlights or just the goals alone, if you give us a little bit of space, good luck.
There's one goal. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of goals to choose from, but there's one goal, obviously. I stay up to date as an avid Julian Gressel fan, where Messi just gets this inch of space, and Red Bull has this whole line of players trying to press him right around the center circle. And he makes one pass, like he uses somebody to bounce the ball off of, as you've said in the past. And all of a sudden, he's behind the whole pressing line. And it's just him wandering in against their back line. And then it's 1-1-2, and Luis Suarez is in on goal.
Named player of the month on Thursday, and look at what he's doing tonight. The return from Suarez. Luis Suarez again! 5 for Inter Miami! Luis Suarez with a 2-goal night.
No, I honestly can't even remember, because there were 6 goals, which one of the goals that was. But it was such a great example of how he just makes people look like they're not there. Like, all of a sudden, half of the team just disappeared from the equation, and you felt bad. I felt genuine pity for the center backs that were waiting for them as they were just jogging towards them.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, it's like I think he chopped somebody at half field, like you said, and then kind of just took off. And as soon as he has that time edge on you, and he kind of runs at you, and has players that understand obviously what he is trying to do, where he's passing the ball, and almost after that he's accelerating instead of slowing down. But in that moment, I think those are just incredible plays, and those are so fun to watch, because he's obviously done it so many times in his career, but it's impossible to stop. That's the thing. It's impossible to just, if the balls are correct, and even if they're not 100% perfect, they're still, like it's so hard to stop him. And then obviously the quality is there on top of it, but to have the 5 assists and primary assists at that is incredible, where you just can't give him an inch in the final third, and that's something that happened maybe one too many times obviously in this one. And I feel like that's what teams are scared of, and that's when they play us, and that's something it's really nice to have on your team, to be able to rely on that quality, and rely on that almost magic, week in and week out. I think he's won player of the week now 3 times, I think, over the last 5-6 appearances, he's scored I don't know how many goals and how many assists, but he's basically played an MVP season within the last 8 games or whatever he's played this year. It's incredible to just even from a stat standpoint alone. It's insane.
On a day like that day, is there a point where you almost feel like you are witnessing the performance even though you are on the field with him? Do you feel like you're just a glorified spectator in some of those plays where you're just watching him? I mean, 5 assists, you got to feel like you're living in Groundhog Day at some point.
Yeah, you certainly feel that way. You are, well, at least I am in a stage in my career where I've obviously been around the league a bit, and I've experienced many different teams, many different players, and um, there's a really sense of appreciation, right? Where that I think is the biggest word. I think it's appreciation for what he does and how he does it, and that appreciation is, you almost have to blend it out when you play with him at times because you don't want to get caught in that. It's a very tough kind of mindset at times, but at the same time, you obviously do everything kind of so that he can do that. Where, like we've talked about defensively a lot, where I cover a lot of ground, and kind of keep his back clear in that sense, where he can't really worry about those magic moments. But certainly, then I think halfway through, I think it was 3-1 maybe, I got subbed out, and then when you're on the bench and you kind of see it all happen, the connection with Suarez, the 1-2s, the give and goes, the little body feints to just drop two defenders. It's all of it is just mind blowing and incredible. And then really, in those moments, you really become a spectator. Yeah, and you really become just a fan of the art, and that's really what it is. I think in art form,
So
it's great.
what are the guys saying? You got subbed out 66 minute. Team's already up 3-1. You done your job. You've won the game for Inter Miami, and now you get to let Messi kind of play around with scoring goals and stuff. And you're sitting on the bench. What are the other guys on the bench saying? Is Messi and Suarez obviously continue to put this sort of stuff up, like 4, 5, 6? Does Tata Martino turn around like Zinedine Zidane and just start going, "Oh, come on"?
Basically, I mean, they're just enjoying it just as much as everybody else, I think, in the stadium. They certainly obviously appreciate him, and just like everybody else does. And when the score line is that, I think you can do that even more when you don't have to worry about, when it's 2-1, and you kind of got to worry about them scoring another goal. But when it's 4-5-1 and you kind of have the game in the bag, like you're saying, um, you look at it with a different sense, I think, and you could see every time they were scoring a goal, or we scored a goal, and the coaching staff would turn around and would hug each other. They always have this group hug that they do. It's kind of cute. But they just obviously go off and be like, oh my God, what a goal, or like incredible, and all these things. So you certainly see how much they appreciate that type of play as well, and those types of goals that they get to witness in person, just like me and just like everybody else that was in the stadium, and all the fans.
And with this result, you are now the hunted, obviously, particularly in the Eastern Conference. You've cemented yourself at the top of the table in the Eastern Conference, and this has prompted, unsurprisingly, calls that Inter Miami is unfair because you're bowling over so many teams. What do you obviously, without having to get into the MLS salary cap side of things? What is your response, or at least your reaction, when you read or see people say like, "Well, this Inter Miami team, how can we possibly compete?"
Well, that's just how the roster is shaped up this year. I don't know what to say. I don't know what
Uh,
to say. I mean, you have the best player in the world on your team. Obviously, it makes a big difference. But there will also be a time where he won't be here over the next couple of months, and then we'll kind of see how we fare. But at the same time, we do have a really deep team, and you see that at halftime with Rojas coming in, a new player, immediate impact, scores 2 great goals and has an assist as well. And yeah, just the depth that we have, and we do have a lot of injuries as well, which you shouldn't forget about. is the best team in MLS I've ever seen, without a doubt. And that is something that I see it as an encouraging sign, because I see it as a sign of where the league is going in general. Now it's maybe 1-2 teams with, 3 teams that are kind of pushing the envelope really like that. And then, in 2 years, maybe it might be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams that really can attract really, really good players. And, outside of Messi, if you look at all of our young players, for example, the guys that are stepping up and that are playing significant minutes, that have come in new to the league and everything, it's really, really, really good quality, and that's awesome to see, and it's fun to be a part of.
And that's a big thing for you to say, because obviously you've been a part of 2 teams that have won MLS Cups, and those were obviously great teams, Atlanta, Columbus.
Yeah.
But this is the best team you've ever played with.
Yeah, I'd say so. In terms of quality and depth, 100%. Now, there's obviously in soccer, the best team never, or might not always win everything. So obviously we're going to lose games. We're going to lose some more games. We're going to lose games even with Leo, probably. Maybe not, but probably. But there's always this sense of, okay, if we put our best foot forward and we play to the quality that we have, then there shouldn't be anybody that beats us. To be fair, in the past years, I had the same feeling in Atlanta when we won MLS Cup, that if we play at our best, nobody should beat us. And I had the same feeling last year when I got to Columbus, where I felt like that if we can, be the type of team with the quality of players that we have and in the style that we were playing last year, then yeah, we were the best team in MLS last year, and that's why we deserved, I think, to win MLS Cup as well. So there's a general sense, right? There's a common denominator here as well. So it's not just about having the best quality players, but it's also about playing obviously within that and having the right balance of attack, defense, transition, those types of things, tactics on the field as well.
Yeah, I know you. I'm not going to ask you for any predictions. I'm not trying to jinx anything, obviously, early in the season, but you guys have definitely been putting up some crazy numbers. So crazy, in fact. I'm going to hit you with one. I don't know if you're aware of this. Lionel Messi is the first person ever to get to 1,200 goal contributions as a professional player. He's done it in 1,057 games. And so if you're listening, right, wherever you are, you're in your car, you're running, wherever you're listening, to put that in perspective, that is 100 goal contributions every year for 12 years.
That's insane.
So
it's
yes,
insane.
his 6 goal contributions in your game against Red Bulls helped him get to 1,200. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I don't think anybody is ever gonna touch that.
I don't think so either. I think that is something that, it's out of this world, and it's like it's too hard to really comprehend in a sense, right? Like that's insane. Simple as that.
Yeah, well, basically, it's like, well, I mean, he's getting 6 goal contributions a game. I'll get there in no time, but that also is a window for how long he's been doing this, right? I guess 20 years at the top level. So when he has a game like he had against Red Bulls, obviously you played well. Like basically everybody is playing well in a game like that, particularly in the second half. All right, wait, okay, Julian, how did you play?
What?
Did you play well? I forgot. We jumped right into Messi because he had 5 assists. But how was your game?
I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I thought I played well. I thought I did my thing, and my thing has changed from the past years. And we've talked about this a little bit, where my contribution to the team has changed. And it's not about, creating chances, providing assists, providing goal scoring opportunities, being a final product type of guy. It's changed to helping the team build out from the back, helping the team advance onto the field, helping the team be structured while we attack, helping the team be structured, defensively, being able to press at the right times, being able to cover ground. So it's changed a lot in a way where it's not so much about obviously the offensive output anymore, and so that's why I thought I played pretty well. But when we win 6-1 and don't really give up many goal scoring opportunities, in my opinion, in the first half and early on in the second half, and I was able to get forward a little bit as well. I thought I played pretty well, yeah. But
Yeah.
I was
And also,
I was
what are you
laughing.
laughing at?
I'm sorry, I was laughing because there was a moment after in the locker room where when we win, I usually just, I don't know why, but out of habit over the years, I've seen older guys do it, and now I do it. I go around the locker room. I usually am one of the last ones to come in because I always see people outside, and then when I come in, I always dap everybody up. So just like, hey, good job. Even win or lose, doesn't matter. Yes, just a high five, sometimes a hug when they stand up, whatever. When it's a special, when he's like hat trick, Louis, like amazing, whatever. So it comes to Leo, and he was like in conversation, and I go by and I give him a high five, and I was like, 5 assists today, and he was like, yeah, and like all shy, like just looked down. He was like, yeah, and just like started smiling shyly. It was kind of a cool moment to kind of again see him so humble and just like, yeah, almost a little bit embarrassed that yes he did, but he did it. But it was just another little moment. That's why I was laughing. I'm sorry if I caught you
No,
off
because
guard.
that's what I was going to ask about. Was he's done this so many times? What's he like after he drops a masterclass? Because I'd be in the dressing room, I'd be talking about how great I was for 3 straight hours if I dropped 6 goal contributions, right? But he's over here just sheepishly like, yeah, I guess I did that.
Yeah, exactly. That's basically how it was. But yeah, it's just a normal Leo. Like nothing, almost like nothing happened. To be honest, obviously he was happy, and we were all happy and playing some good music and people dancing and stuff. But Leo was very not really outgoing, just the normal Leo that we've kind of, or I've gotten to know over the last months.
Hey, well, I got to know who's the best dancer. You're playing some tunes after the game. Somebody's getting down.
I mean, it's all these Spanish, like South American songs that I don't even know how you dance to that. It's just not my my vibe. So you see some guys just like, I don't know, I don't know what they even call those dances. Do you know?
Like
Those
salsa or bachata? Are
yeah,
they like
yeah,
it's like the
bachata, yeah.
footwork and the hips? Yeah.
I think it's like a little bachata, yeah, basically. It's just like, yeah, just a little something. But cello is pretty good. The new guy, Cello Wagand, he's kind of the guy who's been leading that. And yeah, some of the younger guys, always usually somebody steps in there.
It's like, so the new signing doesn't just bring the play, he brings the vibes in the dressing room after.
Yeah, yes, he does. Yep.
Oh, perfect. Have you ever even tried to dance a little bit? Maybe even nobody's watching, you're around the corner, you're listening to the music, you're like, okay, let me.
No, if I do it walking right through the middle so that everybody sees me. Just so give some good
Hell
vibes
yeah.
off and just make everybody, because nobody expects it from me. So when I do it, everybody's okay, like they kind of are fully into it. So it has to be something very special though. And
Oh yeah.
so maybe when I score my first goal, I'll have a little bit more opportunity to do that. Hopefully we win the game too, so I can't do
No,
it.
it'll be a little more awkward if you,
Yeah.
if you don't win the game. And
Yeah.
the other question I just have to ask, because I can't even see it in my mind's eye. Are Luis Suarez, Busquets, Jordi Alba, Lionel Messi, are any of them dancing after the game to this like Latin music?
Uh, Jordi Alba is probably the closest guy that gets the dancing. Sometimes he does a couple steps, but he mostly just like claps in rhythm and sings or something. He's very loud and outgoing, I want to say. So he would be more the singer. But the others sometimes clapping, yeah, but not so much in the middle of it dancing.
No, nobody. I mean, not their fault. I'm not exactly a middle of the dance circle type of guy either. The rhythm
Yeah.
hasn't found me yet, but I'm counting on it someday.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I get to explain how they are dancing if we win a trophy this year, and then I'm hoping that it'll bring out something in them, something that they've done after winning the Champions League before or something, or the World Cup.
Oh yeah, you'll finally get like celebration Messi instead of just the
Yes,
okay.
exactly. Maybe it's that type of Messi still. Who knows?
He's
We'll
Lord
see.
knows he's been there and done it all before. That's for sure.
It's true. Yeah.
You've got you also had we have the famous person checkup at the game today. Did you run into Jimmy Butler? He was apparently at the stand in the stands.
I did see him. I did not say hi to him. That was all Busquets. I think he's been to a few games now, NBA games. The season's over. Obviously came to an end against the Boston Celtics. My Boston Celtics.
I knew you were
but yeah, no, he said hi to him, but I saw him. He was obviously, sitting right next to the bench there. So basically sitting next to me the last 30 minutes, 30 minutes.
Oh, that was so you just spent 30 minutes next to Jimmy Butler, just like
yeah, just hanging out, watching Messi greatness.
yeah. Oh, how was he reacting to? So he must have been. He was on the bench then you were on the bench with him for I believe at least 2, probably 3 of the Messi Suarez combos.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just reacting similar to everybody else, just like obviously a little bit in awe and but also trying to play it off cool. You know how Jimmy Butler is, so certainly on brand.
Well, you have another big game coming up next. You're going to Montreal, which is the only other team that you all have lost to this season. What are you expecting from that match?
Yeah, I think they're a team. Well, first of all, it's not easy to travel there. They have a good stadium and good fans, and obviously a team that beat us. So another little revenge game for us, where they beat us at home. So we kind of got to return the favor and go there and beat them there. But um, yeah, I think ever since kind of that win against us, they've honestly struggled a little bit, where they haven't picked up too many points and too many wins. So um, we're in good form, and I want to say that we go to anybody or we play anybody to win, and that's something that obviously we want to focus on again on Saturday. And I think if we focus on ourselves and we focus on what we can control and what we do, then we should be on a good path to do that. But obviously, they have some good players and a good new coach that will set them up in the right ways, just like he did when they played us here at home. And it'll certainly still be a challenge. I always say that there's no easy games in MLS, even though Leo made it look easy in the second half. But it still took a while for us to get there. So definitely, we'll see how it turns out. But hopeful, obviously, to continue our streak and to stay top of the table. It's fun up there, man.
Yeah, it's just lonely up there, all at the top. Looking down on everybody, like Montreal included. And they're gonna give you your best shot, probably. I mean, it feels like everybody gives you guys their best shot this season.
Yeah, always. We talked about that as well, I think, before, where this is the big game that is always circled on the calendar. And to play Messi or to play all those stars that we have on our team is special to a lot of people. And obviously now knowing that we are, at the top of the table is kind of like a measuring stick for a lot of people. Okay, how far away are we? How close can we be? When we put it all together, how close can we get to the top and be kind of up there with one of the better teams in this league? And that's something we obviously are prepared for every week, to know that is what's coming. We also know that the environments we go into are always special, like the 2 football stadiums that were sold out. Now in Montreal, I'm sure it'll be packed and buzzing, and those will be difficult environments at times to go out and play. But we're ready for it. We have been ready for it the last 4 or 5 games, so it's been fun.
And you had a huge weekend that wasn't just a 6-2 win over Red Bulls, because you also got to go, and I am incredibly jealous, to the Miami Grand Prix, Formula One, and you were invited too. You were you were partnered up with Williams. So first of all, before we get into how the actual race was, what were you doing with Williams, and what was your weekend like in the Formula One sense?
Yeah, I teased it, I think, last week, right, where we had a Duracell appearance with Logan Sargent, and he came to the training facility. We did some trick shots, and just got talking a little bit throughout the facility, throughout him, kind of showing him around a bit. And honestly, it was really, really interesting. He's a really cool guy, and I'm gutted for kind of how our season's going so far a little bit. They had a good sprint race. He had a P10 in the sprint, but then obviously got bounced out in the regular race. I'm wearing
Oh, so
the shirt now.
I just was clocking that. You look like a Williams reserve
Yeah.
driver right now.
That's right. So they got us this shirt and a hat and a mini helmet that Logan signed. But yeah, it was a cool appearance and nice to obviously get some insights into what their life is like as drivers, right? And it's busy, man. That's all, all I can
Oh,
really say. It's
I
one
mean,
place to the next, and you're never really home. This was a nice race, I think, for Logan because he stayed here locally. His parents, I think, live in Boca, so he's actually from here. Um, so it was a great race for him. An unfortunate ending, obviously, for his home race, but um, yeah, it was really cool to talk to. And I unfortunately wasn't invited through them to the race. I think I just got tickets through Duracell to the race, and then we were put into, it was called the Concourse Club that invited us, which is basically like a country club for race enthusiasts. Instead of golfing, you just go racing.
nice.
It's like here in Miami, I think a club that has a racetrack with it and stuff, and we were able to go to their hospitality tent, and it was awesome. From I mean, F1, you kind of see it. It's a big show, right? It's not just a race. It's one massive show all weekend. It's about who's who there. All the stars are coming out. Everybody is just partying and DJs and music and everything. It was yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, what did you get up to over your race weekend then? You being one of the stars at the event.
Honestly, we were just so I was there on Sunday, and obviously with Saturday the game, we couldn't go to the sprint on Saturday or the qualifying. But Sunday um, we basically got access to it all day. We could go there all day, and I spent I think 4 or 5 hours there. Um, Honestly, it was so hot where I didn't do too much walking around. I was kind of tired, obviously, from the week from the game, and I didn't sleep too well, obviously, after games always. So I just kind of went into the hospitality, talked to some people there that honestly, a lot of people came up and was like, "Hey, great season so far, and you guys doing really well. Excited to be watching and everything." So it was me and some other players. We were kind of all spread out differently throughout different hospitalities because it's really hard to get tickets. Um, so a lot of guys were at different areas, but the one we were at, we kind of just stayed put and enjoyed kind of the amenities that they had there with the food and drinks and yeah, and then ultimately watching the race. It was cool experience. First time for me where when these cars drive by, man, sometimes something happens inside of you. It gets the stomach going. It was exciting for me to finally be able to kind of live that live, and it was really really cool moment. So a really really good weekend in general for me, but I know it was awesome.
What about the race? Because you've been an F1 fan your whole life, right? So this is just like the opportunity of all opportunities. What about the race was different than what you expected?
Um, I mean, it's underrated how fast these cars are. It just like looks so slow on TV or like slowish on TV, but man, there was some straights there. Oh, unreal! Like how these cars just zoom by. Like you could see like part of the track on a different side, like in the back, and you just see lights just flickering by, and it's like all these cars just flickering by. But and then obviously how everything vibrates. Like the track was right there for us, and when these cars drive by, we had a safety car and everything, so they would have like two starts and stuff. When all of them would drive by, oh man, it's something else. Like I said, it gets something going inside of you, and that's um, it was more exciting in that sense than I thought it was going to be when when I was there. Yeah, it was cool. It's nice to kind of feel.
Yeah, well, I've had the privilege of going to one practice session and it was already like a sensory overload for me. I
Yeah,
was worried. I was worried I personally, every time they went by, I'm like, this dude's gonna crash. There's no way he's not
yeah,
gonna crash. Just where I happen to be sitting. And that did kind of happen. You said Sargent had his problems right in front of where you were.
yeah,
What happened for Logan in his home race?
yeah. I think he got he got bounced out. I think it was defending his position, and then I'm not sure. I think Hulkenberg was the other driver, or Magnussen, one of the Haas drivers, I think, that tried to pass him, and there was a little double, like a little S curve and turns, and we were right at turn 3, and then he kind of, just spun out. Like he had contact with the Haas car, and then spun out and hit right into the wall there. And I mean, these guys are going fast, right? So you're like, incredible how like little of an incident it was in like in their eyes, I guess, right? Like I was like, oh my god, what is happening here? But he just kind of like bounced out of the car and walked off, and was like obviously annoyed, but really, really crazy to see how obviously they're going at so high speeds and right next to each other, right behind each other. I mean, that stuff is incredible of how tight they race, and how hard they race. I think that was in general a pretty hard race in that sense, right? Where if you watched it on TV, you might have seen it, but some good racing, and a lot of faction and fun, and cool to see that happen in front of us too. And then the whole cleanup crew came out, and the crane and got the car out of there, and the safety car came and everything. And yeah, it's awesome.
Was the entire Inter Miami team at the Miami Grand Prix?
I want to say about 50%. Yeah. 50% of guys, a lot of young guys, a lot of guys that went last year didn't go again this year, and kind of just had different obligations, but a good amount of guys went, and definitely took it in as an experience. Yeah.
Are you just sitting there like after the match on Saturday going,
Tell you
excited
what,
for tomorrow?
we had a much better time than some of the Red Bull, New York Red Bull players that went through Red Bull. I think some of those guys got invited too, so I'm sure they didn't want to be talking about the game the night before. I'll tell you that much.
It's a tough. You got to show, especially with as good as Red Bull is in Formula One. Like you have to show your face after losing by 4. Just like, hey guys.
Yeah, not easy, for I'm sure, but I'm sure they still had a good time at the race, and maybe also a good way to kind of forget about what happened the night before too. So perspective, right? It's a lot about perspective.
Perspective. And we'll leave the F1 the Miami Grand Prix behind. We'll leave F1 for another podcast, maybe episode 10 or episode 11 when Lando wins again. But perspective, I'm going to hang on that because we're going around the world, and I've picked a really strange story for us to go around the world with. It is, normally we could just talk about Champions League, or we could talk about Manchester United losing or Leverkusen winning or whatever. No, we're going to talk about something in the Portuguese second division, because I actually really want your perspective on this, because I feel like you actually might have your perspective has more gravitas when talking about the sanctity of the game, because that's where we're going. And the sanctity of the game, I feel like, was violated, because I'm going to give you the spark notes. I made a whole 20-minute video on my Zealandism YouTube channel about this. But a guy named Courtney Room, Reum, basically promised to invest in a club in the second division of Portugal called Vila Verdense. And my apologies for grossly mispronouncing that, as I'm sure I did. In that investment was conditional on him actually appearing in a match for the club. He's 45. He's never played professionally. He played in college in Colombia. So in a match where Vila Verdense ends up losing, which cinched their relegation, they were still technically alive to stay up. They were losing 1-0, 5 minutes to go in the game. Courtney Room gets subbed in. On a scale of 1 to 10, how absolutely ridiculous is this? Because I was watching this and I was angry. I feel like this is just everything wrong with the game.
Yeah, I mean, with seeing what's at stake makes it even worse. For me, it's probably like a 8, 9 up there. I think it's up there.
Yeah.
I think it's up there. I mean, it's something that he go to like all these clubs and was just like, hey, I want to invest, but there's this clause that I want in there. And every other club was like, no, you can't have that. And he was like, all right, fine, bye. Until somebody said, yes, you can play, whatever. Like, I mean, it's something I can shake my head at, to be honest with you, because like you're saying, there's nothing to do with him earning the right to be out there like another player maybe he did. It's a second division, which is also not that bad of a level in
Oh
my
yeah,
opinion.
these teams are one step away from playing against Porto,
Yeah,
Benfica, Sporting, all them.
yeah. So definitely up there as not something I like to see in the modern world of soccer for sure.
And what are you thinking if you're a player on the field and you turn around and you see this 45-year-old man just and you've seen the video and you and our
Yeah,
producer Michael reacting to the video is funny as you're like, well, let's see how good this guy actually is. And then just by the way he runs on the field, you already have a feeling he's not.
yeah. I mean, I don't think the players are happy. I wouldn't be happy. I think you have to play it off as being happy because he's the owner of the club or part owner of the club or investor or whatever. But certainly, I would be frustrated if I was the guy that would have gotten subbed in instead of him, or if I was the guy that got subbed out for him. I think I would be even more like, what the F is going on, you know? But yeah, I don't know. I can just kind of shake my head at that and just put it in a column of kind of something that I'm happy I got exposed to it because of you. I love that.
I think it's one of those I'm a strong
I love
believer.
that.
As somebody that's subjected to it all the time, as somebody that just talks about football on the internet, soccer on the internet all the time, I'm a big believer in public shaming, and this is one of the things. Like I got tagged in it, and I saw it, and the more I went down the rabbit hole, just the more mad I got. Like this, the guy happens to be Paris Hilton's brother-in-law. Which once you introduce that type of celebrity, then everybody has their own image in their mind of like
Yeah.
where this guy's coming from with like the way he's approaching this. Right, his dad was a CEO of a major company, so it sounds like at least his business ventures have been significantly aided. So like the money the money that he had came from at least in part like family wealth and not just the one like every the farther I dove into this, the more reprehensible it became to my own sensibilities. And so I wanted to shine a light on it just because I feel like people need to know it happened. And I feel so bad for the manager. The manager of course they interviewed him after the game and the Portuguese media is like, what the hell? And
Yeah.
he just said, I can't say too much. I could only say that it was difficult. Never in my life could I put my players at risk. I had to make decisions that put some of my principles into question, but more important than my principles is their welfare.
Oh
Oh,
wow. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like what do you how somebody says to you, "Oh, have you played professional? You went to Colombia, played soccer there, right?" You said.
yeah, he was on the
So,
team. I have
okay,
not.
at least he had somewhat of a soccer background, right? Somewhat, and didn't just kind of come off from the desk to be like, "Hey, I want to run onto this field." But like, why? Like, what does he get from it? Is my question. Like, what does he himself get from this? Be like, oh yeah, I played professionally. Oh, you've trained hard. You've earned a contract. No, I actually just invested in this club, and I, you know, had a clause in there saying I got to play. It's like all your credibility and all your like achievements kind of go out the window at that point, don't you think? Like, it's just like, what the hell are you doing?
No, that's that the I so the video I made on this was just a 20-minute rant, and you're aware, unsurprisingly, with your ability to process stuff way faster than me. You're already at the end of that 20-minute rant that I went on, where I basically got to a point where I was almost sad. I'm like, this guy legitimately feels like he's accomplished something here.
Yeah,
When everybody
that's the
else is
saddest part.
exactly, everybody else is looking at him, and you're going, what are you doing? I mean, and if you watch the video, if you look it up, Courtney Reum Villaverdencha, the video, the broadcast team cuts to his box or whatever at the stadium, and it's just his whole family. Is that he flew out all his friends and family to see him make his professional debut at 45? They've got Courtney signs. It just felt so bizarre because it's almost dystopian because it's like everybody is just supposed to pretend that what's happening isn't happening. Everybody's supposed to
Yeah,
pretend that this guy somehow at the age of 45 has become a player able to play. The Portuguese second division is a very high level, especially relative to some dude that played in college 20 years ago. And he's just pretending like he's accomplished. It's almost sad. It is almost sad because he really feels like he's done something here. And it's sad because the whole club has to pretend like he actually has.
yeah. I think that hits the nail on the spot right there. So
Got, of course, your fan questions that we get to every week. And we've got three of them, three very good ones, and one very important one right off the top. That you in particular, you were like, I would love to talk about this, and I'm very happy that it was asked on Mental Health Awareness Month. It says, for Julian, I was wondering if you could speak about your mental health well-being on and off the pitch, and what you do for yourself when you feel overwhelmed or burnout.
yeah, I mean it's a question that goes pretty deep, to be honest with you, where I have been more and more as my career went on. I'm more and more aware of kind of that side of it, and it doesn't just, I think, come into contact with or related to the game of soccer. I think it in general life things that happen have impacted that part, where I'm going to be pretty blunt and I think be honest and open and say that probably over the course of the last 6 to 8 months, I've probably had the most difficult time in my life with mental health. I've struggled at times. I've had big doubts about my professional career, about even me being a husband and a father, and it has been a struggle at times where I'm happy that I get to lean on my wife a lot about these things, about opening up, talking to her a lot. And over the course of the last 3 4 months, I've also been going to therapy regularly about certain things that just come up, and I talk about everything honestly in that, and this helped me so much. So I can really only recommend it. But I think over the last 6 to 8 months, just to kind of put it into context a little bit, what has happened in my life is we had moved obviously a lot as a professional soccer player. I moved around quite a lot, where I got told in DC that I was traded to Vancouver without any notice, without any ask, without any input in it, with having a baby and a wife, obviously. So we went to Canada, and then kind of moved around a lot within that, where we couldn't really quite get comfortable in the beginning. Came back to Virginia for the off season, or DC for the off season. Went back to Vancouver. So these things, kind of just wear on you. It's a lot of stress, moving, making sure your family's comfortable, making sure you obviously still perform to a certain level on the field. And then obviously last season, when it really kind of became tougher, was when we moved to Columbus, another big move. At that moment, we had another baby. We had a 4-week old. So we had two kids, and then we got to Columbus, and at first I was super happy and excited and really really into it, and because of the outlook of, okay, you go into a really good team, a really good club, a really good city, and then it kind of, the way it shaped up wasn't quite the way I envisioned it. And I wasn't playing at times, especially in the big games at the end of the year, where I all of a sudden didn't play anymore. And obviously the contract, I was out of contract at the end of the year, and that contract extension that we had talked about throughout the trade process never really happened. And then the kind of reality sunk in of, okay, you have to move again. Where those type of stresses that kind of impact you wore a lot on me. And like I said, I felt bad for my wife, I felt bad for my kids, and to kind of put them through all of that, and while at the same time trying to acclimate to a new role that I've never had in my career, as kind of a guy that's supporting somebody else that's playing, while at the same time trying to make an impact whenever I do get a chance to play. So yes, to kind of summarize it, mental health has been a big chapter in my life over the last 6 to 8 months. I've gone through some difficult times where I am learning a lot about myself and what it takes to overcome some of these things, and it still impacts me. I want to say daily here, where you go through ups, you go through downs, and now there's a lot of ways that I've learned how to deal with that. And I think that's the biggest part. And therapy has been so big in helping me with dealing with those emotions, those feelings of overwhelmness, or being overwhelmed or burned out, or when to kind of take a break, when to or kind of reframe some emotions, some feelings. It's really been an incredible step in my career, and I'm so happy that I took that step, because it took some convincing from my wife to really get there too, and I didn't really want to do it in the beginning, but she's somebody that pushed me really hard, and to kind of try and do it, or not push me, but encourage me to do it. She was never pushy about it, but it was something that I'm certainly really happy about that I did, and that I'm continuing to do, because honestly, I think everybody could probably benefit from at least talking to somebody. Doesn't have to be regularly, but at least to get an intro and get a sense of who you are and what type of experiences impact you, and have impacted you throughout your time as a little kid to now. And those things are certainly huge. But sorry for the little rant I just went on, but a lot of feelings and emotions behind this, because it is so close to me.
It is. You never know how you affect other people. And every single time somebody comes out and talks about getting help, and talks about getting therapy, and talks about how it has a positive impact on their life, that can have a really positive effect for somebody else. It's like a chain reaction. So I really thank you for stepping out and kind of and talking about it a little bit. I know for a lot of people, it's a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And when I read the question in the rundown, I was like, I talked to my wife about it. I was like, you think I kind of should open up and really use this platform? And she was like, do what you feel is right. And I've always been, I feel like a person that connects with the fans. Hence, we're doing a podcast, or tries to, kind of keep it all reality, and kind of connected to reality in a sense. And this stuff, like I said, has been hugely affected, or affected my life over the last few months. And like I said, I've gone through some difficult times. I'm learning how to deal with those, and it's certainly helping a lot to go through that type of process, and to really learn a lot about myself. And therefore, I feel like I'm a better person. I'm a better teammate. I'm a better father. I'm a better husband. I'm kind of coming out of it as a better human being, and that's something that I absolutely love about going through the process.
What do you think is the most important thing you've learned in therapy?
Man, so many things. Honestly, that I think that everything is somewhat connected to the experiences you go through as a younger child. And those experiences can be as small and insignificant that you tell yourself they probably are small and insignificant, but they can cause these reactions in you that you aren't really aware of today. And that's probably one of the biggest things, where a lot of the times when I go through a difficult time, I try and think back, or try and kind of almost talk to my inner child in a sense, right? I've gotten in touch with meditation a lot over the last year, 6 months, where I'm learning how to do that, and really trying to tap into that. And so it's really about just connecting with whatever kind of works for you, but that might be different to you or to another person. But that is something that has worked for me, where I can connect to my inner child pretty well, and kind of picture situations from the past that are causing certain situations now, and are causing certain reactions or emotional responses now. And then you almost develop this feeling of gratitude, because it's like a way of this made you who you are, and it gave you all the things that that are good in your life. And that's why all the tough times and all the little things that didn't go the way you wanted to, or whatever, those are things that impacted you to make you the person that you are today. And you kind of develop this overall feeling thankfulness and gratitude towards that, and then everything kind of changes. And that is a really, really cool moment to have these types of moments in your head where you think about it, and you become so aware and so mindful of kind of that stuff.
I feel like you could already give a TED talk on this subject. You're absolutely plugged in on this. But no, it is that's really important. And just talking about it more generally and making sure people are aware that the people that maybe you watch on the field or you watch on TV or you watch on YouTube, hi. Everybody has bad days. Everybody, doubts themselves and has really terrible moments. And it's just about having those people around you that you can talk to about it, because you're never alone in those situations.
Absolutely not. That's something that, yeah, I've learned, and I'm so thankful to not just, go to therapy, but me and my wife, we talk a lot, and to have these types of people, my mom and I talk a lot, my brothers and I talk a lot. Like it's all, whoever that person might be for you, it's about being vulnerable and being open-minded, and being able to kind of share those emotions, because once you share them, once you open up yourself, I think that's a really big step, a really big first step, and from there on out, everything becomes easier, in my opinion. So if you are going through a tough time, and if you are struggling, with certain things of feeling overwhelmed, being burnt out, having the feeling of it, or just doubts in general, I think, why not try and talk to somebody, and try and seek help. It's okay to seek help. It's okay to be vulnerable, and to be in a state of mind where you don't have to do it all on your own. There's people out there that will help you, and I encourage you to do that. Yeah.
And to get granular, obviously, all of the fantastic with the answer to the back part of their question, which is like, what do you do for yourself when you feel overwhelmed or burnt out? That's something that can happen a lot when you make YouTube videos and stuff for a living, obviously. But the overwhelmed part, I find that when I feel like I have to do a lot of things, like right now, I'm currently at my parents' house. I'm in the middle of a move. I'm stealing a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff from their storage unit. And so I have to prepare a bunch of videos ahead of time that are all going to be released while I'm gone. And in those moments, if you are looking at a bunch of things that you have to do, I find it is very, very comforting to focus on the smallest thing that you can do to check off that list, and then check off that one thing and get some sort of momentum going. And then on the burnout side, go for a walk. It sounds like the simplest solution of all time, but I find that if you're burnt out and feel like you don't want to move and everything sucks, open the blinds, open the window, go for a walk without your phone. Don't bring the Instagram, don't bring the Twitter. Look at trees if you can. Look at whatever happens to be on your walk, and just kind of
right?
Exactly the same way you were talking about with meditation, kind of reconnect with yourself and disconnect from everything else.
Yeah, that's great advice.
I was just trying to match. I was just trying to match your TED talk. That's
no, I love it. We can co-host one.
Yeah, I'm super down. But thank you so much for the question. It was from Jay Shwua. I hope we were able to get to all the points that you wanted. Now on to another, obviously incredibly serious question here from SJ 9268. Said, if both Z and Julian were put in an F1 car around the Miami circuit, who'd be faster?
I mean, what is your racing background, I guess?
I'm a closet redneck. In some ways, I grew up with a small family farm, and like we had dirt bikes, like motorcycles. Yeah. And so we used to just rip so I'm comfortable going fast on machinery, but I've never really taken a crack at go-karts before. And I've obviously never driven like a Formula car. Now, if you have a huge advantage, but I back myself because I can really get a motorcycle moving when I'm on it, just weaving through trees and stuff.
So I've had, growing up, I probably had like 5 birthdays go-karting.
Oh, come on.
So I used to love go-karting as a kid. One of my best friends in elementary school would go to professional go-karting races for that age group. They would have their own go-kart they would work on every day, and then sometimes I would go with him to watch these races. So all I wanted and watch Formula One. I grew up watching Formula One every Sunday. I loved it. So I certainly have been in go-karts before, and it's so much fun. It's really cool. I haven't done it in a minute, but it's been fun. And I also, while I was in Atlanta, I got some driving circuit lessons in a Porsche at the Porsche Experience Center, where like professional drivers, they kind of like take you around the track. They let you drive and kind of tell you where to look, when to brake, how to brake, what to do. They do drive training there with, the spin outs or the, I think a weaving through cones and like some training as a professional driver. So I want to say I have a little bit of an experience advantage there, but that doesn't necessarily lead to a faster time, I feel like.
I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and answer this question. The way it would go is Julian would win, and I would crash because I hate losing, and I would push it way beyond what I'm capable of, and I would definitely hit something. So that's exactly how that would go.
So you'd be Magnuson, and I'd be Sargent.
Yeah.
Try to just bounce me out.
I'm gonna be behind you, just trying to take you out. So I don't know. I couldn't. I would lose fair and square, and then just spin out or something. I'll tell you what. I'm going to add that to my bucket list, though. I would love to drive one of those cars one time. I realize that it's like literally $1 million on wheels, and that's a terrible idea for anybody to put me in that position, but I would love to do it.
Yeah, I think it's so hard. I don't think you could drive.
Well, they have to shift. I mean, you look at the steering wheel, and there's like 40 buttons on it. It's like flying a spaceship. I couldn't even begin to figure it out.
I think you lay in there, right? Like, because they're so low to the ground, so you kind of lay in it. You have to obviously do the pedals, the clutch, and the brake, and the gas, and everything, and then shift at the right times at the wheel. Like, it's incredible.
I'm also probably too big, honestly. I'm 6'2", and I feel like all those guys are like.
To be fair, Logan Sargent was about my height. I'm 6'1", so he was maybe 6 feet, but a lot skinnier and like not as much muscle bulk to him. But like,
you calling me skinny. Fat, Julian? So
no, not compared to me. Compared to me, I said.
Yes. I have too much heft that I carry on all of these marathons with me. The third question
you would need a big helmet size, though, according to
look. I'm going to tell you something in confidence. Good thing nobody else is listening. I've had a huge head my entire life, right? It's me, Harry Kane, Peyton Manning. We've got it going on, right? When I was born, I'm the oldest child of three, so I was the first rodeo, right? This did happen to one of my siblings as well when they were born. But when I was born, the doctor, they have like all the measurements for like how big everything is supposed to be. And my head was literally off the charts. Like, I'm not even making this up. They have like a 1 to 100, and it was off the charts to such an extent that they actually like had to do a CAT scan to make sure everything was okay. So, I mean, I have the forehead of all foreheads. I would be rocking a triple XL helmet on the circuit. Honestly, I probably couldn't do it. There'd be too much draft. I mean, if you're talking about hundredths of a second here, over 70 laps, I'm creating important. A little too much. This is not an aerodynamic shape.
You got to shave some off there.
Like forehead sculpting surgery. I'll get in touch with Kim Kardashian. Yeah. She totally knows how to do that. We've got the third question from Rob Van Stecklenburg. Hopefully this one's also about my forehead. It's not. It is. This is great. How much does Messi bench?
Oh man, these questions went from serious to less serious to.
Yeah, does Messi even bench at all? Like, how much does Messi bench?
Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen him bench. This is an easy cop out for me, but no, I don't think I've seen him bench. I mean, we're all on individual-ish programs. Well, Leo is on an individual program, and kind of, the general rest is somewhat similar. But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen him bench, unfortunately. So, but what do you guess? What do you think?
I don't know. Does he lift weights at all?
He does. He lifts. Yeah.
He lifts. Okay.
Yeah, he works out. Yeah, for sure. But 1 rep max, that's hard because we would never do that. I don't even know my 1 rep max.
I haven't done that since high school JV football. Like, I have no idea what my one, but now I will say this, he's probably stronger than he looks.
I think so. Yeah. From what I see of how he lifts and what he does, yes, he is.
Okay. So I have no idea what number it is, but I'm going to go with I don't even know if this is insulting or flattering. I'm going to go with, I think his max rep on the bench is 240. Is that high?
I think that's high. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I
I
have no
think
idea. I
that's
mean,
high.
I did like 120 in high school. I just doubled it. That's literally what I was
I think that's high, but I don't know. I want to say 1 rep max. 175.
Okay. All right. I was a little high. Yeah. I don't know. He's a freak, though. He's a freak
Yeah,
athlete.
I mean,
Maybe he can, with his competitive edge, he could get one.
I don't
I
know.
believe.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not sure. It's really hard because, like I said, I've never really seen him kind of lift that weight. It'd be nice to see him do it once so that I know, okay, if he does, I don't know, 135 easy, then I'm like, all right, 200 might be around there then, but we'll see.
Yeah,
Maybe I can keep spying and see.
Yeah, I just feel like he's working out in the room by himself, and there's just Julian looking around the corner, like, see at the bench.
Hey, I'm usually in the gym too. I work out quite a bit. But.
I wouldn't doubt it. You are, after all, the workhorse of the entire team. But I think we've proven conclusively that bench pressing is not key to being the greatest player of all time.
No, absolutely not. So if you are doing that, trying to become Lionel Messi, you can stop.
Good. Or you can try and push it to 240 because you might be benching more than Messi can. Was there anything else in your mind this week, Julian?
Not really, honestly. I'm just another week. I've had a really good weekend, so I'm on cloud 9, honestly. But I'm really happy we got to talk about the mental health stuff. I think that's very important. So, and happy to connect and obviously talk about this stuff more. If there's more follow-up questions or anything, just let us know and obviously rate us. And so that's your job. Wait, you got to do this live.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, what's left for me, Julian, if I'm not doing this? Player Manager Podcast is making a positive difference, hopefully. And thank you guys so much for listening. That is it for us this week. As Julian was saying, and so graciously let me continue. Please follow us on Instagram at Player Manager Pod. You could also rate and review the pod. That is hugely, hugely helpful. I Space Wade on Apple Podcasts rates us 5 stars. So shout out to I Space Wade. And he left a 1-word review that said awesome, which I appreciate. I will internalize that and I will thrive off that comment for the entire week. So amazing. I appreciate that a lot. Yes. And Julian, to send us off, can you translate that into German? Awesome.
They put me on the spot here. Awesome just means awesome. Everybody knows awesome. In Germany, everybody knows it. Super. It's super.
Dankeschön.
Danke. Bye. Tschüss.